There's nothing negative about that. And so for me, encouraging children to go into competition early enough is a winner anytime, any day, because they end up being stronger, better, more resilient children at the end of the day. And if you remember something, when we were coming in this fourth edition,
that girl,
not the girl yet, what the parent was saying, to another parent when they're looking at the questions and say,
this is high school, undergraduate.
That mathematics is too. How do they expect small children to pass this test? And remember what I said? I said
they will never give them anything above their grade.
No. Apart from that, I said, see how parents underestimate their own children.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember I said that? I said, can you see how we heard this? I mean, this was something we heard as we were coming into the competition.
And we had kids
and two parents were discussing, say, this question is too tough.
Mommy and daddy can't solve it.
Hello and welcome to season 2. I can't believe it. Season 2 of SchoolTalk Cafe. I mean, it just like you said, it went by so fast. When did we start? And all of a sudden we are talking about season 2. Wow. Well, welcome to yet another episode and the first episode in season 2 of SchoolTalk Cafe. But before we go on, I'd like to say a few things. First and foremost, big shout out to Makeli. Makeli Craft. I mean, give us this beautiful mugs. Has SchoolTalk Cafe on it, and
as you can see, has my name on it.
Has my name on it too. Thank you very much, Makeli Craft. We're very grateful for this. So
to all the viewers,
all our viewers, thank you. Please help us share with friends, family, stakeholders, and everybody that needs to listen to. Teachers, parents, school authorities, school owners, and education board members, and all of that. Now, what are we talking about today? Well, okay, I think I should just take the lead on that.
Yes.
Now, competition. How healthy or how good, should I put it that way now?
How effective?
And of what good is competition, in the life of children, secondary school, primary school?
Yeah.
Should it be encouraged?
What point?
Or should it, whether point or not, should it even be encouraged at all? Now, when you look at the fact that even for exams, writing exams, children are scared.
Adults are scared.
Even adults are. I remember, and I'm sure it's still happening now, in the university, exam period is when you have the highest number of casualties.
Oh.
Yes, go and ask anybody. People are fainting, people are having brain fatigues, people are, fear, trauma, everything, because it's exam season. Just that thought of writing an exam. So now imagine asking a child to go and compete
with other students.
I mean, that's like exam conditions with ×4 tension. Everybody's watching you right there and then. Exam, you just write it in a piece of paper and submit it quietly.
But you know
how we used to do in school those days, when they say pencils up and then they say submit, then you make sure that the teacher is not looking, and then you put your own answers under somebody's own, so they don't see your own face. I mean, now imagine going for a competition where there's no paper to hide. You are being scored right there. And
you're dealing with stage fright, you're dealing with anxiety,
and nobody wants a beating at that point in time, because it'll be obvious to everybody your result is there for all. Yet the question still remains, should we encourage children to go into competitions, or should we just protect them, in quote? from the unpleasantness and the tension and all of that?
Well, are you asking me that
yes,
question?
I'm asking you, and I'm throwing it out to our viewers out there to say, what do you think? At what point should we at all? And then at what point should we introduce competition into the lives of these children? Is there any value to be gained? Is there any culture that you think these children will imbibe from being exposed to competition?
I have mixed feelings towards it.
Okay.
But I think the positives outweigh the negatives. For me, if a child is exposed early to the stage and to platforms, he or she is able to deal with certain emotional, limitations, certain mental limitations, if there were ever going to be any, on time. I never had the opportunity to go for any competition as a child, and maybe that's one of the reasons why for a long time, just maybe, I even till today, I want to go for a pitch. The anxiety and the tension and the fear of going to go and stand before Igwe Madu to be talking and trying to defend something, for the life of me, I know even now I will not do it. But when I see children who are exposed early into the competition space and they're able to own their ground, own their space, I know that those kids can face literally anything because they've built the stamina, they've built the courage, they've built the ability to speak before people, they've built the ability to think on their feet, which even some adults can't. And so I think, the positives, will definitely outweigh the negatives of being disappointed. We were at a competition recently and I actually saw a child crying, not even a girl, a boy crying because he didn't get anything, and I'm like, aww, these are the reasons why I rather shield a child for going for a competition. But the positives definitely always outweigh the negatives for me.
Okay, for me, I don't see them as negatives. They are not in any way negatives. It's just unpleasantness. Now, when you try and make an unpleasant experience a negative thing, it's not necessarily so.
Wait, an unpleasantness is not negative.
Unpleasant experience
is not negative.
No, it's just like people say, no, failure is bad. It's not bad.
It's bad, but it can be turned.
No, failure is part of a process. That's the truth.
Part of a process.
It's not. Oh my goodness.
If you feel jump, it's a bad thing that you feel jump.
In that failure, you've learned something.
But it's still a bad thing. So it is all things that are working together.
No. See, it's the same attitude we have to failure that we carry as children, and I think our parents are responsible for.
You tell your father that failure is not bad.
No, but there are some parents who help the child roll over in failure.
A bad situation.
Yes. No. An unpleasant. It's not bad. You see, the minute you see it as bad,
okay, an unpleasant.
Then you start running away from failing. And you see, in the fear of failure, you hardly do anything because you don't want to fail, because you are afraid you will fail, because you think you will fail, you don't step out. A lot of adults are like that till today because that's how they were conditioned. If you don't venture and fail, you will not make anything. Seriously.
Okay.
You will not. If you're afraid of making mistakes, you will never make anything.
I understand the philosophy of that, and that's
the reality. It's not just a philosophy.
Yes, and those are my words too. But it's a negative that you turn around for a positive.
Well, okay. Let's agree to disagree.
Okay.
But for me, it's not a negative.
Yeah. All right.
Failure is a process. It will happen. Okay, let me even give you a typical point, the case in point. Every child that starts walking, as in walking,
W-A-L-K.
Yes, walking on their 2 feet.
They fall.
How did they start? How did they go through that process?
They fall, they fell, they stood up, they fell.
So every time they fall, is that not failure?
Yes.
Good. Was it a bad experience?
Yes.
that falling down for a child trying to walk.
It was a bad experience, but a
bad experience.
Yes,
it's not. It's part of the process.
It's a negative, but a part of a process.
Negative.
We're going to go on this.
Okay, wait. So when you see your child trying to stand up and walk,
and he falls, that's a setback. But he gets up.
And then you get disappointed and very upset. No, you the parent watching, you say, "Oh God, I fell." That's a negative.
So it's we're not refuting the negativity or the unpleasantness. The term is unpleasantness.
Yes, but it's not negative. That falling down is an indication of something, a will to keep trying.
No.
It's not.
That falling down was an event. The fact that the child.
So what makes it negative?
The fact that the child got up is now the evidence that the willingness to move forward. Many people fall. The event, the negativity, the unpleasantness, and we've digressed terribly.
How many children have you seen fall and refuse to just stand up again?
So we're coming back to
They always stand up because it's part of the process.
Yes.
Somewhere along the line, as we grow up, our environment conditions us to believe that falling down is bad, like you have strongly believed now
that it's bad.
But you see,
I'm going to let it define me.
No, the minute you accept that it is bad and it is this and that, it hinders your desire to. Most people let it. That's the reality because of how they see it.
So
if you see it like the child does,
as an unpleasantness.
If you see it the way the child does.
We're not even on Truth Point yet.
Truth Point, guys, this is a foretaste of what Truth Point is going to look like. Because anyway, don't let me jump ahead of the gun. We will introduce Truth Point at the right time. Truce, TRUCE point. Truth Point. We're coming with that later, but hey, let's stick to the.
Can we go back to the competition?
The competition thing.
Yes.
Okay, so let's agree to disagree on that. Anyway, now. For me, it's more and more positives than any negatives that you would want to ascribe.
Yeah.
First and foremost, when you expose a child to a competitive environment or to the mindset of competing, what you are doing is fortifying that child mentally, making that child strong mentally. If you keep shielding a child from facing competition, having to, struggle for a sport, and all of that, then what you're doing is you're just postponing the evil day, so to speak. Because that child must at some point in time in life compete for a sport, compete for a job, compete for promotion, is constant through life. So why not prepare them early? Why do you think you should shield them from whatever perceived trauma you think they will have and all of that? So what is emotional intelligence really? It's simply understanding your environment, circumstances that trigger certain responses,
from you,
and being conscious of how you respond to them. Those things don't come overnight. You have to train yourself, expose yourself one way or the other, or in the case of these children, expose them such that as time goes on in life, they are conditioned to competitive scenarios, competitive environments, and competitive mindsets. Now, in a competition, something is challenging you. If you're not conditioned for competition, every time a challenge comes, you back down. You walk away. You shy away from it.
That's different from having a competitive spirit.
How do you get a competitive spirit?
Because we also don't.
How do you get a competitive spirit? You grow into it. It doesn't just come like that for most people. Some maybe from the onset, something about them but that's not the reality for most. Most people, you have to be
pushed into,
conditioned into it. I use the word conditioning because that's what it is. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not a magic word or something. It's conditioning. Gradually, bits of exposure, and as exposure happens, there's confidence.
So when does competition become a negative thing? But we're looking at competition as competition games, math competitions, spelling bees and all that. Debates, yeah. We're not talking about when I don't know, I'm not sure, when it becomes a negative, when competition actually becomes a negative.
The only time I would tell you or agree with you that competition is negative is when everything about life is a competition. In short, too much of everything is bad.
Yeah.
Excessive use of anything at all leads to abuse.
True.
And that is when it is negative.
So but
if you situate competition within the right context, to say
healthy,
that drive, that desire to excel, to be the best, to want to stand out, I mean, there's nothing negative about that. And so for me, encouraging children to go into competition early enough is a winner anytime, any day, because they end up being stronger, better, more resilient children at the end of the day.
So we need to have more competitions done, whether spelling bees, whether math, like the one we went for.
Yes, that brings me to the one we went for. The Maths Bee competition that we went for only too recently. I think that was the 4th edition.
Yes.
I've been a part of that competition from the very beginning, you know, and the organizers of the Maths Bee competition have done a wonderful job, if I say so myself. Year in, year out, I have watched the competition grow. It's a mathematics competition for primary and secondary school, junior secondary school students. And the first year, I'll tell you something interesting that happened. There was a special prize for females because we believed that the guys who carried the day in the math competition.
We just gender stereotype.
No, there was no stereotype anything. We gave them the same questions, but somehow we just felt okay. Maybe the guys were going to do better, and we were not biased in our marking because at the end of the day, the girls did better.
That's my point.
There's nothing to fair, and that's why we could get the truth of the matter and declare it openly. The girl won first prize. I think a girl won third prize also or something. And then of the first 10, the best 10, you had more females than the males. In math. You know, and if you remember something, when we were coming in this 4th edition, not the girl yet. What the parent was saying, to another parent when they're looking at the questions and they say,
this is high school.
This is that in mathematics is too. How do they expect small children to pass this test? And remember what I said? I said
they will never give them anything above their.
No. Apart from that, I said, see how parents underestimate their own children.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember I said that. I said, can you see how? We heard this. I mean, this was something we heard as we were coming into the competition grounds. And two parents were discussing, saying, this question is too tough. How do they? They say even them cannot. And then we did an interview with a little girl and says, the technical. You'll see some of those interviews. Don't worry. We'll show you some of those interviews right here in this episode. Clips of the Maths Bee competition and what the students and even their parents and some of their teachers felt about it. But I mean, it was a beautiful experience, I can assure you. It was something. 250 students wrote that test, and it was something wonderful. Cash prizes were given. Medals were given.
Do very well. Cash prizes were also given.
Yes.
To encourage.
Yes, the last 10 got cash prizes
to encourage them to move forward, and I think that's a very powerful thing because if it was me, I would never go for a math competition. Maybe a spelling bee, definitely I'll go for a spelling bee.
But in rounding up now, one of the beautiful things about this thing is this: even the children, especially from parents, they were telling us that the kids were excited and disturbing them. I want to attend this competition. I want to participate. So at times, it's we parents that project our fears on these children.
Yeah, like I did too.
We project our fears on these children, and it should stop. Let these children go for these competitions.
On behalf of all the parents, I repent on behalf of all the parents.
So please, encourage your children to be part of competitions. Look around. There are not too many of them, but those few that there are, let your children. It's not about even winning. Let them, expose them. Expose them. Let them gain the experience.
Maybe
that way they are more confident. Yeah, maybe somewhere along the line. I don't favor spelling bee.
Why?
Huh?
With the bad English going around everywhere.
For me, it's not about the spelling. It's about eloquence.
Or shall we debate?
Yes, a debate.
We should do a debate competition.
Yeah, you should be able to marshal your points and convince us. That's grooming them for leadership. Yeah. For me, I think
we won't go into the math space because we
already have a friend who's doing that. So
get ready, we're going to do
somewhere along the line we should sponsor a debate competition where we give topics and we'll have them slug it out. Young children and the not so young. Anyway, till we come your way same time next episode. It's bye from us for this